Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel from beautiful Colorado. It's a little overcast today and cold, but otherwise pretty good. So one of the items left over from the last video was when we were talking about sheltering, and that is, don't discount the privies sometimes that you find on the long distance trails, especially like in the Shenandoah National Park. There's one that's just one that's just north of Grayson Highlands and on the AT, where Kansas himself took shelter in a snowstorm. He got a little bit of frostbite, but he was able to keep himself alive there. Gator Miller, if you watched his videos when he did the AT, I think that was 2015. A bunch of them ended up in the privies there, the heated bathrooms at Newfound Gap. And it had to get rescued by some rangers coming up to get them, since the park was closed when they came through in a really bad snowstorm. So don't discount those as makeshift shelters. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about water, and let's talk about why water is so important. First of all, our body is mostly made up of water, and at like I think 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The body under normal exertion is going to need about 3 liters of water a day. Okay, and that's just under normal exertion. All right, what'll make a difference in that is if you're exposed to cold, intense activity, hiking, high altitude, backpacking. Okay, burns, illness, things like that cause your water requirement to go up. And dehydration is basically when you are falling below your normal water limits. And as we found out in the last segment, dehydration can help onset hypothermia, as well as the heat stroke. Also, if you tend to be somebody who sleeps cold at night, you definitely want to make sure that you're hydrated when you go to bed. You'll actually sleep warmer, and you'll sleep better and have a more sound sleep if you're hydrated when you go to bed. Now some numbers that I thought are interesting here, and this is out of a U.S. Army Survival Manual. Okay, a 5% loss of body fluids results in thirst, irritability, nausea, and weakness. Okay, a 10% loss results in dizziness, headache, inability to walk, and tingling sensations in the limbs. A 15% loss results in dim vision, painful urination, swollen tongue, deafness, and a numb feeling in the skin. All right, and a loss greater than 15% of body fluids may result in death. Okay. Now, some of the typical signs of dehydration are a dark urine with a very strong odor, a low urine output, dark sunken eyes, fatigue, emotional instability, loss of skin elasticity, delayed capillary refill in the fingernails. In other words, you push down the fingernails and it stays color doesn't come back. Okay, and a trench line down the center of the tongue. And one thing I found interesting, that at a 2% body loss is when you really start to crave liquids and the thirst comes on. Okay, at a 2% loss. Now, when you're backpacking, you've got to have water to move the nutrition around in your body. Okay, to feed your muscles, and you've got to have water. And one of the things that I noticed in backpacking, I use Kansas a lot for an example. I'm sorry about that, Kansas, if you're watching this. He is able to, and Will Wood was like this too, where you kind of drink up at the water source and you carry a bottle with you, and he had like a Gatorade bottle, and that's all. My body cannot do that. I have learned over my hiking experience that I use a lot more water when I hike. And matter of fact, I've kind of learned that it takes about minimum of drinking a liter and carrying 3 liters for me to go 13 miles up along ridgeline walks. That's just me. I've had to learn that. Other people, no problem, drink a liter, carry a liter, and they'll do just fine. Me, that's not the case. And so each person needs to learn their body a little bit here. So let's see. Most people can maybe tank down about a liter of water. Not everybody can. If I could do a liter. I was forcing it that last little bit down. But you know, with your hiking and everything. Now this number is more along the lines of survival, and that is if you're not peeing at least a half a liter in 24 hours, you're in trouble. Okay, and that's if you're just kind of hanging around a makeshift camp trying to wait to be rescued. Okay, but in the event that you do not have any food, and this is very important, if you don't have any water, you don't eat. Okay, it takes water to digest your food. You can live a lot longer, okay, 21 days, 3 weeks without food. So if you're out on a backpacking experience, you're that last day, and you run out of water, but you have food. If you're on a break and you don't have any water, wait until the water source. Don't eat any food. Okay, don't eat your snacks. Wait till you get to water source. Now, if you are, because it takes water to digest it, okay, and you're going to get more dehydrated after you eat that meal. Okay, now if you're in a situation like where you're out of food now, that maybe you plan for a 4-day resupply, and it's going to take you 5, and that happens now and then. It happened to me. You don't have any food that last day. Well, it's best not to eat. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. That's not what I meant to say. If you don't have the food, you're going to actually need to increase your water intake. Okay, because your body is going to want to take in your fat stores. It might even take some of your protein in your muscles to metabolize. It's going to need water to do that, and that could be 6 to 8 liters of water if you're in that fast. Okay, so you're actually going to need to up your water intake if you're out of food. So if you're hiking that last day trying to get into town, make sure you're drinking a lot as you're hiking. Okay, so a couple of things. We already talked about, always drink water when you're eating. Another thing that can help you is to acclimatize, and that's kind of what I was talking about, with each person needs to learn his own body and your elevation that you're hiking at. Okay, we've talked about this last time. Conserve your sweat, not your water. Okay, and it's always best to be drinking a little bit along the way as you're hiking, versus trying to just guzzle it and then wait, and then guzzle and then wait. Just you try and tank up at the water source, but then make sure you have enough that you can continue to drink as you go along. Okay, if you have to ration your water, if you have something to put in it, great. Especially if it actually has real sugar, that'll actually help you. One thing, and I know I talked about this in one of my videos on the AT in either 2016 or 2017. But if you find yourself in that short water situation, and you put something in it, you don't have anything, find some pine needles. Okay, crush them up a little bit and put them in there. That will add a flavor to the water, and it tricks your body into believing there's nutrition there. So instead of your body just keeping it in the digestive system and pushing it out, it'll actually push it out to your cells, and that'll actually help you stay a little more hydrated under a low water situation. Okay, let's see. Now to kind of get an idea of how much water there is in different situations, like a field dressing will hold about 1/4 of a canteen of blood. Okay, a soaked t-shirt can have about 1/2 to 3/4 of a liter of water in a soaked t-shirt. Okay, so that'll give you an idea if you do how much sweating. And I sweat a lot when I hike, so that's why I drink a lot of water, because I sweat a lot. Okay, if you are 3/4 of a liter below what you would normally need to be hydrated, you can expect that if you check your wrist pulse, it'll be about 100 beats per minute, and your breath rate will be around 12 to 20 breaths per minute. Okay, if you are 3/4 to 1.5 liters low on your hydration, you can expect your heart rate to be between about 100 to 120 beats per minute, and your breathing to be 20 to 30 breaths a minute. Okay, I kind of that to me is you're in distress. Okay, now if you are 1.5 liters to 2 liters of loss below what you should be, you can expect a pulse rate of 120 to 140 beats per minute with 30 to 40 breaths a minute. Okay, and you can expect things to get worse from there. Now let's shift and talk a little bit about what do you do if your water filter breaks. Okay. Now, what's important to know is, and to understand, like with your backpacking, don't worry about giardia, okay, and any of those other diseases. You'll be able to get off the trail and get some medical attention. All right, so don't worry about that. Drink the water if you have to. Okay, well now how do you select the water? Well, first of all, running water is always better. Okay, a stream. Okay, if you find a spring that's coming right out of the ground, that's probably going to be relatively safe. I know a lot of AT hikers that don't even do any filtering at all. I always did, even on the spring. I always filtered it. And I had with me just a little eyedropper of Clorox bleach in case I felt like I needed to kill viruses, because you know your Sawyer squeeze, it's going to go your bacteria and your protozoas, but it's not going to get any viruses. Okay, so if you think you get in some water that's somewhat questionable, then I had a little bit of about a Clorox, so I could put a couple of drops in there. Okay, now so flowing water is better. If you have to take it from you really need to avoid ponds and stagnant water, but sometimes you can't help that. Back in 1997, I had my kids on the AT, and we were at Harper's Creek, and there was a drought, and there was like no water in the creek except a standing pool of stagnant water with water skeeters in it, and we had run out of water at noon that day. You know, we filtered it and we drank it, and we were okay. It tasted kind of funky with the dead leaves in it, but we survived. So if you come up to a pond, all right, you can take your like your Nalgene or your Smart Water bottle, and you take your bandana, fold it over a couple, 2 or 3 times, and very carefully, gently put it down into the water, and take it down about halfway between. So because you know if you're at the side, on the side, you're probably going to be, it's not going to be that deep in the pond, and so you're going to very carefully take it down so you don't want to disturb any of the sediment on the bottom, and get it midway, because you're going to get away from the stuff that's on the surface, and you're going to be up above what's in the bottom with all the sediment, and that'll be the cleanest area to let the bottle fill. Okay, let's say worst case scenario now, you don't even have a bottle or anything you can filter it with. Okay, you've lost everything and it's just you. Find that pond and go to where the animals have not been, because usually at a water source you're gonna have an animal trail that's going down into the to the pond, and of course they'll go down there and drink and they'll defecate and urinate, and you don't want to be anywhere near there. Go find a place where they're not coming down. Okay, and that the water that's the shallowest on the edge there, okay, is going to be your safest, because the UV light will have from the sun will have killed most of the bad stuff there, and that's the safest place to put your mouth down in the water and be able to drink. All right, let's see what else. Yes, the other thing that I was trying to think of is, don't drink urine. Okay, it's got too much. Yet when it first comes out of your body, it's sterile, but it goes bad really fast, and it's got a lot of toxins in it, and it may quench your thirst, but it's not going to be well for you. Okay, so I know Bear Grylls drinks his urine. Don't do that stuff. Okay, just don't do that. The other thing is blood. Blood is considered a food, not a liquid. Okay, and it's got a lot of iron in it. It's got a lot of sodium in it. So if you're in a low water situation, don't assume that you can just kill an animal and drink the blood. It's not gonna work for you. Okay, because it's considered a food. All right, I hope this has been helpful, and hopefully you've learned something a little bit about the importance of water and why you need it, and why you need to make sure you drink plenty of it while you're hiking. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye.